our purposes, let's start about 60 million years ago, when the age of giant reptiles comes to an end. At that time, dinosaurs ruled. Mammals were cowering, timorous beasties that could never have challenged the superbly designed dinosaurs. And then, bang, a comet hits the Earth, the dinosaurs disappear, mammals get a chance to evolve, and among the mammals are the primates who tend to swing about in trees. Over 5 million years ago, one of these primate species, whose descendants made these footprints, one of these gets up on its hind legs. It doesn't make up its mind to go biped, but the less they hang about in trees, the more the primate's upper arms can be used to carry things. They swing from trees, the longer their thumbs grow, until they become opposable, which is convenient for grabbing and manipulating. And then, about 2 million years ago, these hands turn out a miracle, an artifact, a tool, something they had fashioned themselves. And this is when we are no longer speaking of apes, but of something recognizably human, in which a larger brain and manufactured stone tools go together. Day on, primitive flint tools like these saved him from using his teeth for a lot of things. In the next 2 million years, he turned from vegetarian to carnivore, and the massive teeth made to chew on bark and grass and tubers, these teeth fined down. The powerful jaw muscles that imprisoned the skull relaxed. The brain that had been squeezed into the narrow skull began to expand. And this peculiar, thinking animal was engaged on the road of thought and of dental decay. It was only around 7000 BC that Stone Age people really learned to make fire by friction or by striking flint. Fire and thought together allowed hominids to expand into new habitats and ever more distant lands, even in times when glaciers like this one were pushing practically into the tropics, and our ancestors had to think or die. So they thought. And they quickly realized that thinking did not prevent death. Here, for the first time in the history of life, a creature makes the imaginative leap that lets it conceive its own end by looking at the end of a creature like it. To imagine my death from the death of someone like me, to feel diminished, mystified, terrified by death and by the dead. And to deal with corpses and their mystery and the terror they generate, man develops rituals, myths, religions, into which he invests an immense amount of energy. So that for millennia, a significant portion of the little surplus of what people grew and made went into tombs and temples like Stonehenge here. I can talk about these rules because about 100,000 years ago, something that we can loosely call language, something like language developed. A new tool that allowed people to communicate meaningfully with one another. And then, in the new Stone Age, which is the age of Stonehenge, they also begin to devise primitive, but revolutionary ways of storing information outside themselves by notches and markings and drawings, which means that now human beings could convey information not by word of mouth alone, but by sign, as we do in writing. Above all, these first men and women were hunters, gleaners, and nomads moving across the steppes and forests in small clans, following the animals and plants off which they fed. Most of the cave paintings we have found are obviously the work of artists who were part of a hunting society. Then, somewhere around 10 to 12,000 years ago, some of these people settled down, and we got an agricultural revolution, its origins as obscure as those of science. When man discovered how to make the ground bear fruit, how to domesticate animals, how to store the products of his labors, he also developed a sense of property. And so, structured societies grew up, with villages, wells, walls, slaves, and families in which lots of children guaranteed labor and perpetuation.